Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is a special edition. We're going to talk about the Magician card of the Tarot. That is the Magician card. And the Magician card in the Tarot represents Mercury in astrology. And there's good reason for that. If you haven't seen my last video, I did a video on Pluto and the Fool card. That was one of my first tarot videos. Is going to be my second, where we talk about the next card in the major arcana, the Magician. And the Magician, the reason why the Magician card is ruled by Mercury is because this is where, as you can see in the card, this is where a person uses their mind. They use their mind to create something. And I hear this all the time, especially being on the internet. You hear all the time, your mind creates your reality, and all the other sayings that go along with that. Mind over matter, mind creates reality, etc. And this is, if you think of the Fool card is like the first, I'd say it's the first card because it's when you kind of get dropped off into Earth. And you're like, okay, what do I do here? You've taken the leap. And you can relate this to anything you do in life as well. Like maybe you jump into a job that's kind of new, and you're taking the leap. And now you're the Magician, and you see there in the card, this card can mean many things. It can go very deep. We're going to keep it pretty simple here. And you see the cup. He has the cup, the sword, the wand, and the pentacle. So I'm going to read from this book, just like the last video, The Apprentice, Handbook for the Apprentice by Eileen Connolly. And we see that the wand represents enterprise and distinction. The cups represent love and happiness, and the sword, struggle and animosity, and the pentacles, money interests. We could also say the sword is kind of representative of the mind as well, and we could equate these two to air, the four elements: air, fire, water, and earth. So back to this idea that Mercury rules the Magician. So you're dropped off here on Earth, and now you are going to manifest your reality, or create your world with your thoughts. And you're going to use those tools, which are the elements. If you're not if you're not familiar with this is what a true magician does, or a magician, as they spell it with a K. That's what a true magician does. They learn about the elements: earth, fire, wind, and water, just like the band that my mom used to love to listen to, and I had no fucking clue what that meant for many years. So with the Magician card, we first need to learn how to use the elements. And if you don't know how to use the elements, then they are going to use you. And you are not the Magician. So that's the first thing with this card. And let's say that you do know how to use these tools and you know how to use the elements, I would argue that in most cases, if you have this understanding, like I could argue that I have an understanding of this, and many people that are into tarot, etc., can. But here's the thing: do you have the time? Do you have the time to work with those elements so that they're not working you? And that's where most people miss. That's where most people miss the mark with your mind creating reality. Because I got news for you: if you're working a 40, I'm not going to get into the details, but if you're working a job or you're doing something that you don't want to do for 40 hours a week, 30 hours a week, 50 hours a week, you're fighting against that. When and if you're using the Magician, you're becoming the Magician. You're fighting against that, and I'll leave it to you to think through that for yourself on how that is problematic when you want to be a true magician. So let's read what she has to say about the Magician card. It's also, she has in here, represented by individuality. Often when a person does discover the Magician card, they, no matter what their circumstances are, when they start to think like this, they do start to think like an individual. They start to be aware of their own desires. They start to be aware that they may be doing a lot of things that they don't want to do, creating a lot of things that they don't want to create. So she writes here in her meditation, you must learn to go within yourself and use the divine power available. Life presents opportunities that are not always recognized because they are offered in the embryonic state. So she's saying here that even if, a lot of you're in the situation that I described, she's saying that oftentimes a person isn't recognizing that they're not recognizing the opportunities. I would argue because of that, because they're too busy thinking about these other things, and what they're already involved in is kind of like in a fruition state, and the new opportunities are in an embryonic state. You think of Magician card as well, even though I say it's here represented by Mercury. The way she's talking here is that it's a cardinal. It's like the cardinal signs, and if you're not good at starting things, or you're not willing to give up what you already created or you've already brought to fruition, you're not going to see the opportunities that life presents for you. He who does not understand the divine wisdom sees only the mighty oak and ignores the potential of the acorn. Through the wisdom of the tarot, we battle with seeds that have remained undernourished through lack of recognition. It is easy to learn that cups represent love and happiness, but the sensitive tarot master is able to detect the seed of love in the thimble, the beginnings of negative vibrations in the penknife. Man must know himself. He must know his desires by laying them openly on the table of life and believing that all is possible to those who have faith. Make known your request to God and reach out to the divine channel for his promised manifestations. So this is another thing that, starting the idea of starting something new, having faith in God, and you could also reword that, having faith in the energies. So when you start something or you see an opportunity and you see it through, or you just begin it, you recognize it, you begin it, the energy is going to do something. Something's going to happen. It might not be exactly what you want to happen, but that's the beginning. That's the beginning here of learning. When things aren't going, when you are doing what I just described there and things don't go well, you're learning how to use the energy. You're learning how to wield the weapons there on the table. And you can do it again. That's the good news. You can start again. You can be the Fool card again. There's another writing in here that I want to read before I go. Before man are the tools of higher consciousness. As he becomes involved with the material plane, he is given all he needs to achieve success here on earth. As he develops his ego, he must endeavor to retain his spiritual equilibrium and use his God-given tools to reach his heavenly goal. So this is the title of this is the spiritual path of the Major Arcana. So she's giving the next level. Often people, when they're thinking of the Magician card and the way I'm describing it, they may be looking at material things and what they want here on earth. So you see there's many worlds. These cards represent worlds upon worlds upon worlds that we can enter into. This is another reason why the Kabbalah, if you're not familiar with the Kabbalah, check out my video on the Kabbalah. I'm going to do a lot more videos on Kabbalah, but this is why, if you don't know what Kabbalah is, this is why Kabbalah is so important, because when we talk about entering different worlds and there being different worlds in this world we call Earth, that is part of what the Kabbalah will teach you and will allow you to explore, being one of the 4 occult sciences of astrology, Kabbalah, numerology, and tarot. So I'm going to leave you there with the Magician card, and feel free to leave your comments below. This is real tarot. This is an entertainment. This is how we learn and how we apply real tarot to our lives. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe to the channel for more astrology and tarot. And I look forward to doing the next card in the next video. What is the second card? The High Priestess. There it is, right there in the next card. The High Priestess.